Hello everyone, welcome back to Beer versus Beer. Today I've got a big comparison to do. Now this is my 10th recording that I've done. And this is also the first time I've got, if I remember correctly, this is the first time I actually have a repeat in the competition, or in, comparisons. And that would be the Weishenstephaner Korbinian Doppelbock, this time going head-to-head against the Augustiner Maximator. Both very similar in percentage. We've got 7.5 for the Augustiner Maximator, and 7.4, I believe, for the Weihenstephaner Korbinian. This is not the comparison I wanted to do. I wanted to do a comparison between the Index Doppelbock Dunkel and the Augustiner, but my bottle shop, which used to always have Index Doppelbock Dunkel whenever I went in, the last few times I've gone, has not had it, has not been available. And they also have not been having the Vitus by Weihenstephaner, which I also wanted to do a comparison video with. Today I will not have them in the same type of glass because I recently picked up this Weihenstephaner, I don't know if you can see that very well, this Weihenstephaner, I mean we call them steins, but it's really I guess a Mass or it's a 500 milliliter, half-liter mug. I don't know. Anyway, it's technically not a Stein in German, but whatever. So, of course, it says seit 1040 or 1040, so since 1040, Bayerische Staatsbrauerei, so basically brewery of the Bavarian state, and Weihenstephaner, Älteste Brauerei der Welt, oldest brewery of the world. So I haven't used this yet, so I wanted to use it for the first time with an actual Weihenstephaner beer, so that's why I'm using this today, instead of my usual Index or glasses or my little tumblers. So, anyway, that's that. I'm excited for this because that Doppelbock is quickly becoming one of, if not my favorite beer styles. I also like, Belgian quads and doubles, but I think I probably like Doppelbocks a little bit more. They're a little bit less fatiguing, not quite as intricate, but still have a lot of different flavors in them. And I'd really like Weizenbocks and Weiss beers still, of course. But anyway, I think already you can tell, and I know they're not the same glass, but I still think it's fair to say that the Maximator is lighter, significantly lighter than the Korbinian. Also has less of a head, and I don't think that's just because of the way I poured it. The alcohol percentage is not different enough for that to be the cause, but just something to note. Anyway, and these are both half-milliliter glasses, although it seems to me like I know this one, the half-milliliter line is actually here to make room for head. I don't know if there's a similar line on here or if you have to go all the way to the top, because you can't really tell, because this is a 330 milliliter bottle, where this is the full, I forget what it comes out to. Oh, well, yeah, 500 milliliter bottle, 1 pint. I don't like how they do this in some of these bottles. 1 pint, 0.9 fluid ounces. Just say 16.9 fluid ounces. or just put 500 milliliters on the bottle, or half a liter if you prefer, but yeah, anyway, that's that. Ooh. All right, so as far as bottles go, I think Weihenstephaner wins. I think they just make some of the most beautiful bottles, or at least labels, around. But they're both pretty cool. And they're both from the Munich area. Yeah, I mean, this is in Freising, which is just outside of Munich. Whereas this is actually made in Munich itself. All right, so anyway, with that out of the way, let's get into the scent. I mean, typical Doppelbock, dark fruit, rich, like sort of like dates, plums. It's got that unique smell that I don't really know how to describe, but all Doppelbocks have it. Similar scent. I think this glass is probably a little bit better for smelling, because this seems weaker, the scent, than I usually notice with Korbinian. So this is not really the best glassware to be using. But anyway, maybe you can see that mug better now, though, that it's darker. Yeah. All right. Well, right now, I'm going to say I'm surprised, but the Augustiner is, if I go back and forth between German and English pronunciation, or a mix of the two, just pardon me. But the scent on the Korbinian right now is very weak, and I do chalk it up quite a bit to the glassware, I think, but it's there, but much more muted. I can really get my nose into this other glass, the Ondex glass. So anyway, let's go ahead and taste. Which one should I taste first? I will taste the Korbinian first. I love that flavor. I do. It's just so good. You know, I would say on the Maximator, there's also what I would describe as sort of a caramelly smell. Now, Korbinian is one of my favorite beers of all time, so Maximator has a, which I have had before, but it has a little bit of work to do, I think. Which is one reason I really wanted to compare it against Ondex first, to see which one should go up against Korbinian. But it is what it is. Okay, very good flavor. Retronasal really does help bring out more of the flavors versus not breathing out through your nose. It's a lot more muted. So if you just swallow, you still taste those like dark fruit notes. It's also a bit more bitter if you don't breathe out through your nose. Overall, it's still, either way, it's more bitter, I think, than the Korbinian, but not overpowering. Like I've said in other videos, I typically don't like if bitter is the main note. I'm just not that interested, which is why I like Helles more than Pilsner, for instance. I'm not a fan of IPAs. I know, hate in the comments. But this is a good balance. Like, it's very well balanced. So if you like bitterness that's balanced by malt flavor, this is a great mix of malt and bitter. Whereas, have I done for you guys? Okay, I don't want to spoil it. I was looking back at my past videos. No, I have not done it yet, so I'm not going to say it. There's one other Doppelbock that I'll have to do at some point that gets a lot of love. Like a lot of people say it's their favorite Doppelbock. Guess in the comments below. But I find to be too bitter and unbalanced in its bitterness. Like where bitter just takes over. And I don't like that. I actually like this better, the Maximator. I'm not going to tell you the name of the other one, but you can guess. But it's definitely more bitter than the Korbinian. So Korbinian is smoother, feels thicker. But both of them have a good bit of malt flavor, which I love. So it's interesting. On the taste, it's the opposite of what I noticed on the scent. So the Korbinian to me has a stronger Doppelbock flavor, whereas the Maximator had a greater smell. And that's even true now when I can put my nose in this moss, as they call it. The smell's starting to dissipate on here, but you know, after about a certain amount of time, your nose gets used to scents, and you actually are less able to smell things as it gets used to it. So that could partly be the reason. All right, so Maximator is a good Doppelbock, but it also tastes a little bit more watered down, a little bit more hop bitterness, or roasted bitterness. I'm not sure. It might be more roasted, but still very well balanced. So it's an excellent beer, but it is a little bit less thick and strong. But while it still has a little bit of that, I don't know if I want to say syrupy, but it's the closest thing I can think of note to it. But it's much thinner on the palate. I don't want to say quite watery because that's not fair, but it's just lighter in body. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, this is no surprise. I'm going to give it to Korbinian. That's not a knock against the Maximator, I don't think. Yeah, I just personally prefer the Korbinian, but I can see why some people would prefer this to like more hoppy flavor or bitterness in general. A little bit lighter body. I just tend to like thick, rich beers, more malt forward, less bitterness. And there is some bitterness on the Korbinian, but it's very mild in comparison. The bitterness of Korbinian is almost just similar to what you get in a soda from the, from the carbonation, more than like real bitterness. I mean, there is some lingering bitterness, but it's fairly mild, much more malt forward. So that's my pick, is the Weishenstephaner Korbinian, to no one's surprise, including myself. But still, if you do get a chance, I picked this up because I had never seen it anywhere in the local bottle shop, just happened to have it one day. And so I picked up a 6-pack of these 330 milliliter bottles, 11.2 fluid ounces. But yeah, that's my choice, and we'll see you next time.